teams competed and then were selected to be in today's final round. A little bit more explanation, if you're also new to this event. Forensics is the term used to describe the 4 speaking events that, along with debate, form the competitive elements of cultural convention for IASAS. During the convention, each speaker is identified by a number and must participate in a minimum of 3 rounds. In these preliminary rounds, each speaker is adjudicated by 3 judges, and on the basis of ranking achieved in each preliminary round, a group of 6 speakers per event advances to the finals. In extemporaneous, we had a tie, and thus 7. The definition of extemporaneous speaking, coming a little bit late, but if you were here for that round, is the category where the speaker is given a choice of 2 questions on current events. The speaker has 30 minutes to prepare a speech to answer one of the questions. The speech must be 5 to 7 minutes in length. This round, for oral interpretation, is of literature, involves a work of either prose or poetry. The speaker chooses and practices the reading and delivers the piece using voice and facial expressions to interpret the mood and meaning of the piece. It must also be 5 to 7 minutes long. If you just take out your mobile device just to make sure that it's off, as to not disrupt the speakers, but we also ask that you refrain from talking during the presentations and following that while the judges continue to make comments that are really meaningful to the participants, that feedback. If you need to leave for any reason, we would ask that you wait in between the different speakers. Thank you, and let the games begin.
This piece is a short story written by Alex Sanchez about 2 13-year-old boys hanging out and having fun in the mall the way 13-year-old boys do. Monday afternoon. Since it's a holiday, my best friend Jamal and I walked to the mall. He's all mopey because his cool FBI baseball cap that he actually got in Washington flew out the bus window the other day. We used to always make jokes about what those cap initials stood for. Things like fart and booger instigator, dumb stuff like that. I met Jamal 6 years ago when I was in 2nd grade. He was the closest neighborhood kid my age and the only boy in class that didn't really pick on me. Ever since then, me and Jamal have ever been best buds. So much so that every Christmas when I had to visit relatives in Mexico, I begged them to let Jamal come. But my dad says no, he doesn't want the responsibility. Even though I tell Dad, I'll be responsible for Jamal, but my dad still won't listen. Sometimes I wonder if it's because Jamal's black. My dad can be kind of bigoted. At the mall, Jamal and I walk from store to store, checking out caps, but only find ones with like sports teams or cities on them. Those are so unoriginal. So we end up at the pet shop, which is our favorite place anyways, because, well, okay, I'm gonna tell you this little secret that only Jamal knows. I love the smell. You know, that like dog biscuit and hamster shaving smell. And the noise, aquariums humming, birds chirping, pups barking and rattling their cages. Jamal is all about the pups. Like, I think he must have been a black Labrador in his past life. And that's not racist. Since we go to the pet shop every single time we're at the mall, the nice owner lets Jamal play with the pups. Today he plays with this big lab, hugging and petting her almost to death. Jokingly, I warned Jamal she's going to pee on him. And that actually happened once. It was pretty gross, but also pretty funny. Jamal just laughs, letting the lab pup lick his face. His face glows with this blazing, bright smile. His pale lips and dark skin make his grin seem even larger. I kind of wish I had lips like his. Mine are sort of thin and puny. Seeing Jamal so happy makes me want to get him a pup. I would, except he lives in an apartment complex that doesn't allow dogs, only like cats and fish. Which is funny because I'm actually more of a cat person, but I'm not allowed any because my dad's allergic. In life, we always want what we can't have. Or at least that's what my mom says, I guess. After the pet shop, we go to the food court and get French fries. By the way, it's a good thing they don't charge for potatoes, because Jamal slathers his potatoes with ketchup. He practically drowns those things. Since today's a holiday, the food court is jam-packed. About 1 million cell phones go off. Each time, people fumble around to see if it's theirs. Because Jamal and I don't have one, we do this thing where every time a cell phone rings, we grab whatever and just start talking into it. Today, when one rings, Jamal grabs the plastic salt shaker and starts speaking into it like he's this fancy businessman. Then another phone rings, so I think fast and grab this really long, skinny potato, dangling it around my ear like it's a hands-free mic. All these people were like walking by and staring at us. It was pretty awesome. After eating, we check out the multiplex. A movie about a time machine's about to start, but I don't have enough money. I'll pay, Jamal says, pulling out his wallet. But what about getting your cap? Jamal just makes a face. Man, they all suck anyways. He and I are always lending each other money. Well, I guess you couldn't really say lending, since we don't actually keep track, but, we figure it evens out. I give him all the money I have, and he uses it towards popcorn and Cokes. The theater's empty, except for a guy and a lady couple. We sit on the aisle because, well, that's where Jamal likes to sit, and kick our legs over the seats in front of us. The movie totally sucks. By the looks of the poster outside, it's supposed to be an awesome adventure, but instead it's like this stupid romance where this guy falls in love with a bimbo babe and they say crap like, "It's the first time I ever felt this way." It's so bad. The couple walks out and me and Jamal would too, except, well, now we got the whole place to ourselves. So we start shouting out our own dialogue for the actors. Dumb stuff like the babe telling the guy, "Excuse me while I fart." Jamal laughs so hard he nearly chokes on his popcorn. I'm laughing too and pat him on the back, which only makes him laugh harder. So then I grab him around the waist like I'm doing the Heimlich maneuver, even though I don't really know how. Next thing I know, we're stumbling onto the aisle and onto the carpet, rolling on top of each other. We're both about the same size and he's lying on top of me, his body shaking with laughter. My arms surrounding him, still trying my own version of the Heimlich maneuver, except now he's facing me, laughing, wheezing, and saying, "It's the first time I ever felt this way." His weight presses warm against me, his face leaning close. I think of hugging him the way that pup in the store did, and his big happy smile. But that's when it happens. I kiss him. It's the first time in my life I ever kissed anyone on the mouth. At first, we both just keep laughing, his lips bouncing on mine, his breath tasting Coke sweet. Neither one of us really even stops to think what we're doing. All I know is his lips feel soft and tender, and it actually does feel good to hold him close to me. My heart thumps against my chest like that puppy's tail. But Jamal stops laughing, and my heart flips into panic. "What just happened, man?" He pushes off me out of my arms. I scramble away, embarrassed, pressing my back against the cold metal seats. Across the dark aisle, we each cower. My heart is pounding louder than the movie's soundtrack. And from the light cast by the screen, I can see Jamal's face. He's staring at me. His lips are pressed tight together, and even though there's no one around to hear us, he leans in and whispers, "Why did you do that?" His voice is tense and somber. I try to think of an answer, but I can't concentrate. Too many thoughts are in my mind. "I don't know," I tell him, even though I know that's not true. See, I've had these weird feelings before. Thoughts I've heard were wrong. Thoughts that I've just tried to keep deep inside me. Until now, I guess. "Are you mad at me?" I ask. His face is blank. His eyes are deep like wells. "I don't know," he says, eyeing me like he's thinking. "I'm sorry," I tell him, and swallow hard. My heart's racing, but not like that pup's tail anymore. More just like horse hooves wanting to gallop away. "We better go," he says. "Thank you."
heartbreak shapes you or shatters you, and sometimes its survivors are unable to put themselves back together. Clemencia, a Mexican-American painter, is one such person. Sandra Cisneros' short story, Never Marry a Mexican, is named for a piece of advice the protagonist's mother used to give her. Clemencia falls for and gets her heart broken by a white man. Almost 2 decades later, she phones him to reveal her plot to devastate his life the way he did hers. I'll never marry. Not any man. I've known men too intimately. I've witnessed their infidelities, and I've helped them to it. Unzipped and unhooked and agreed to clandestine maneuvers. I've been accomplice, caused deliberate pain to other women. I'm vindictive and cruel and capable of anything. And you've answered the phone. Drew, remember when you used to call me your Malinali? It was a joke, a private game between us, because you looked like a Cortez with that beard of yours. My skin dark against yours. Beautiful, you said. You said I was beautiful, and when you said it, Drew, I was. Your skin pale, but your hair blacker than a pirate's. Malinali, you called me. Remember? Mi Doradita. I liked it when you spoke to me in my language. I could love myself and think myself worth loving. I didn't imagine it, did I? When we forgot ourselves, you tugged me. Something wrenched itself loose. I saw you for what you are when you opened yourself for me, when you were careless and let yourself through. I got that catch of breath. When you slept, you tugged me towards you. You sought me in the dark. Your body doesn't lie. But we had agreed, all for the best. Surely I could see that, couldn't I? A young girl like me. Hadn't I understood? Besides, you could never marry me. Never marry a Mexican. Never marry a Mexican. You're nothing without me. I created you from spit and red dust, and I can snuff you between my finger and thumb if I want to. Blow you to kingdom come. You're just a smudge of paint I chose to birth on canvas. And when I made you over, you were no longer a part of her. You were all mine. I paint and repaint you the way I see fit, even now, after all these years. Did you know that? Little fool. You think I went hobbling along with my life, whimpering and whining like some twangy country and western when you went back to her. But I've been waiting, making the world look at you from my eyes. And if that's not power, what is? The boy, your son. The one with the face of that red-headed woman who is your wife. I've been waiting patient as a spider all these years, since I was 19 and he was just an idea hovering in his mother's head. Does he know how much I had to do with his birth? I was the one who convinced you to let him be born. Did you tell him while his mother lay on her back laboring his birth? I lay in his mother's bed making love to you. My Malinali, my Linche, my Cortesan, you said. calling me that name in between little gulps of breath, and the raw kisses you gave, laughing from that black beard of yours. All this while she was anchored in a blue hospital room, her guts yanked inside out. He's got the same kind of skin, the boy. All the blue veins pale and clear, just like his mama. Skin like roses in December. Pretty boy. Little clone. I sleep with this boy to make him love me the way I love his father, to make him want me, hunger, twist in his sleep as if he'd swallowed glass. I can tell from the way he looks at me, I have him in my power. Oh, love? I've gone and done it. What good is it? Good or bad? I've done what I had to do and needed to. Human beings pass me on the street, and I want to reach out and strum them as if they were guitars. Sometimes all of humanity strikes me as lovely. And if I killed someone on a night like this, and if it was me I killed instead, I'd be guilty of getting in the line of crossfire. Innocent bystander, isn't it a shame? Except it's not me I want to kill. When the gravity of the planets is just right, it all tilts and upsets the visible balance. That's when I get on the phone, dangerous as a terrorist. There's nothing to do but let it come.
Muy bien. Thank you. Inquisitive Tita, second daughter of Elena and younger sister of Rosaura, desperately wishes for true love. Her romantic endeavors with the young and handsome Pedro, however, result in a clash between tradition and modernity. As she is the youngest daughter, she is fated not to marry, but must take care of her mother until the day she dies. Will she choose love or family? Will she stand up or give in? Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. On Mama Elena's ranch, sausage making was a ritual. The women in the family had to participate. Mama Elena, her daughters Rosaura and Tita, and Tenta, the maid. They gathered around the dining room table, and the joking time flew by until it started to get dark. Then Mama Elena would say, "That's it for today." For a good listener, it is said, a single word will suffice. So when they heard that, they all sprang into action. They had to clear the table, then one collected the chickens, another drew water for breakfast from the well, and a third was in charge of wood for the stove. There would be no ironing, no embroidery, and no sewing that day. Instead, when it was all finished, they went to their bedrooms, prayed, and slept. One afternoon, before Mama Elena told them that they could leave the table, 15-year-old Tita announced in a trembling voice that, Pedro Musquiz would like to come and speak with you, Mommy. After an endless silence during which Tita's soul shrank, Mama Elena asked, "And why would this gentleman come and speak to me?" Tita's answer could barely be heard. I don't know. Mama Elena threw her a look that seemed to Tita to contain all of the years of repression that had ever flowed over the family, and said, "If he intends to ask for your hand in marriage, well, tell him not to bother, because he'll be wasting his time and mine too. You know perfectly well that because you are the youngest daughter, you have to take care of me until the day I die." Tenta, the maid, attempted to lighten the heavy air in the room. "Ah, come on, Su Merced. Like the moon, this is just a phase." But Mama Elena got slowly to her feet, put her glasses in her apron, and said in a tone of final command, "That's it for today." For the first time in her life, Tita intended to protest her mother's ruling. "But in my opinion, you don't have an opinion. And that's all I want to hear about it, because for generations, not a single person in my family has ever questioned this tradition, and no daughter of mine is going to be the one to start now." Tita lowered her head, and the realization of her fate struck her as forcibly as her tears struck the table. Doubts and anxiety sprang to her mind. She wanted to know who started this family tradition. It would be nice if she could let that genius know about one little flaw for his perfect plan for taking care of women in their old age. If Tita couldn't marry and have children, who'd take care of her when she got old? What about women who marry and can't have children? Who'd take care of them? And, well, if she couldn't marry, was she at least allowed to experience love? Tita knew perfectly well that all of these questions would have to be buried forever in the archive of questions that have no answers, because in the La Garza family, one obeyed immediately. So, a very angry Mama Elena left the kitchen and for the next week did not speak a single word to her. This resumed when Mama Elena, who was inspecting each of the clothes all of the women were sewing, well, she discovered that Tita's creation had not been basted before it was sewed. "Rosaura is looking good!" It was Chencha. She was also examining the two sisters' creations. "Tita, your stitches are almost perfect!" But Mama Elena quickly interjected, "But you didn't baste it, did you?" Tita, startled, mumbled, "No." "Well, baste it and sew it again, and then come show it to me, because you know very well that the lazy man and the stingy man walk the same road twice." "But that's if a person makes a mistake." She looked around the room, searching for compassion from her sister or Chencha, And like Chencha said, my stitches are almost perfect. Are you starting up with your rebelliousness again? I'm sorry, Mommy. I will never do it again. With that, Tita succeeded in calming Mama Elena's anger. For once, she had been very careful calling her Mummy in the correct tone of voice. Mama Elena, however, took comfort in the hope that she had finally managed to subdue her youngest daughter. Unfortunately, her hope was short-lived, for the very next day, Pedro Musquiz appeared at the house to ask for Tita's hand in marriage. His arrival was completely unexpected. Mama Elena, however, was incredibly polite when explaining why it was impossible for Tita to marry. If you really want Pedro to get married, let me suggest my eldest daughter, Rosaura, who's just 2 years older than Tita, 100% available and ready for marriage. At that, Chencha almost dropped right onto Mama Elena the tray of coffee and cookies which she had carried into the living room to offer to Pedro and his father. Excusing herself, she rushed back into the kitchen where Tita and Rosaura were waiting for her to fill them in on every detail about what was going on in the living room. Chencha kept up a kind of running commentary as she told them, in her own way of course, about the scene that she had just witnessed. Isn't that something? Your mom talks about being ready for marriage like she was serving up a plate of enchiladas. Tita knew Chencha sometimes exaggerated and distorted things, so she held her aching heart in check. You can't just switch people like that, like if they were tacos and enchiladas. She would not accept what she had just heard. When Tita was finishing wrapping the next day's rolls, Mama Elena came into the kitchen and informed them that she had agreed to Pedro's marriage to Rosaura, as Tita's plate smashed on the floor. Thank you.
Julie and the Warlord is a short story by B.J. Novak about two unlikely people who get matched on an online dating program and meet for the very first time. Okay, she laughed. after 3 complicated cocktails. Now, you, sir. Yes. You, sir. Now, okay, I feel like we've only talked about me, but I don't know anything about you other than you're very charming and, well, very handsome. Don't let that get to your head. I shouldn't have said that. Thank you. But I feel, okay, what do you do? What do I do? You mean, what is my job? Sorry, I hate that question too. It's like, is this a job interview or a date, am I right? He finished his bite and answered, but she didn't hear him clearly. All I heard was, Lord. Yes. Ooh, okay. This is fun. Are you a landlord? Because I do not have the best history with landlords. My first apartment, I'm not a landlord. Well, are you a drug lord? She said, stroke poking the side of his face with her finger, because that would be a problem. No. You're not the Lord, are you? Because I haven't been to temple since my bat mitzvah. Don't tell my grandma. He laughed, and she could tell he was laughing just to be nice. But she'd like that more than if he was laughing from finding her funny. A nice guy. Now that would be a real change in pace for Julie. So, what kind of Lord are you anyways, huh? Gosh, she was a bit tipsy, wasn't she? I am a warlord. Interesting. Now I don't exactly know what that is, but I want to learn. So tell me, what exactly is a warlord? Educate me. Okay, can you picture where the Congo is on a map? Kinda. This is Africa, he said, pointing to an imaginary map in the air between them. This is the Indian Ocean. This is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And this is just regular Congo. Wait, what? I know, that's how it is. I did not name them. Anyway, all this here, this is what I control. Oh, so you're like the governor of it. No. The people who are in charge are the warlords. We bribe, kidnap, indoctrinate, torture, and what am I forgetting? What is the 5th one? Oh, yes, kill. Kill the population of any region that falls above a certain threshold of natural resources, but below a certain threshold of government protection. Once those conditions reach that level, me and my team, we show up and we terrorize that area until everyone and the entire population is either dead, subdued, or ideally one of our soldiers. Ideally, Julie? Dream scenario? A child soldier. That does not sound legal. No. It is not legal at all. Have you been listening? This is a show of force outside the ability of any government to enforce its laws. He went on and on. What about, asked Julie, downing the last sip of her cocktail as she felt a premature ripple of seriousness returning. What about, like, the ethics of it? How do you feel about that? Doesn't that, like, trouble you? The warlord gestured to Julie with his fork. That top you're wearing, anthropology? H&M. But thank you. Even better. Do you know the conditions in the factories that made that top you're wearing? Do you ever think about that? Yeah? Okay, no. Look, there's no excuse, but like, that does also not mean that. Did you travel a lot? Not as much as I'd like. Now and then we'll reach some ceasefire after some especially big massacre, and things get quiet for a bit. That's what allowed me to take some time off, travel, and meet you. Oh, and I meant to say, you look even better in person than in your profile picture. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been meaning to tell you that. Nice surprise. It rarely goes in that direction. Well, thanks. Same. Don't let that go to your head. Thank you. So, lost my train of thought. Ceasefires? All right, so you know, ceasefires, they never stick. Yes, you know, I think I saw something about that on Jon Stewart. That must be so frustrating. It is. Thank you, Julie. That is exactly the right word. It is very frustrating. The waitress came and said, "Can I get you anything else? Perhaps another drink?" I really shouldn't, said Julie. "Well, I have a driver," said the warlord. So, Julie ordered a fourth and final cocktail. Thank you.
Street smarts are often more important than book smarts, and the street smarts of New York City, well, that's about as smart as they come. In my passage, an incident happens in Union Square where innocent and wide-eyed June learns a valuable lesson from her friend and role model, the fittingly named Knowledge, in the ways of justice, dignity, and character. Miles from Nowhere by Nami Munn. A pair of pigeons waddled over to the woman, and she cooed at them too loudly. "I'll bet you would like a snack, isn't that what you want?" she asked the birds, and then she yelled across to us, "It's such a gorgeous day, isn't it?" Knowledge leaned in. "You see the way she talks to us? She's one of them types that like to think she's cool enough to talk to us poor people. Maybe she's just being nice." Go ahead, answer her. You think she's so nice. "Yeah, it's pretty sunny. Are you from out of town?" I said answer her. I didn't say nothing about asking her questions. "From Savannah, Georgia. Oh boy, these birds are really aggressive," the woman said. Then she produced a wallet and laid it on the bench beside her before fishing out some cookies. With a look of romance in her eyes, she crumbled the cookies to the ground, and none of us noticed the man walk up behind her. "My wallet! He's got my wallet!" the woman screamed suddenly, pointing at the thief who was now speeding through the square. And not a second later, Knowledge took off after him. Knowledge had standards. She had principles. No one understood what they were exactly, but at least she had them. It was these principles that had the thief trapped in the middle of the street, and by the time I got up to them, Knowledge was circling the man like a boxer in a ring. "Empty your pockets," she ordered. "What's going on?" "Take off your shirt!" The man pulled out the tongues of his jean pockets and dropped his white tee to the ground, pinwheeling slowly. "Maybe you're taking this a little too far." "Too far?" She gripped her hips and looked at me straight. "I'm just getting started." And as if my comment had sparked more authority in her, she commanded the guy to take off his pants. No way," the man said, shaking his head. "Take your pants off now." Maybe the guy thought she was an off-duty cop. Who knew why? But with a crowd of 20 or so people watching him, he let this 17-year-old girl convince him to unbutton his jeans, unzip his fly, and drop his pants, showing the corners of 22nd and 3rd, his grim and sluggish underwear. "Where is it?" "You have to believe me, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was just walking around and you came after me with that look on your face and..." "Oh, crap," some kids said from the crowd, bordering on laughter. "She's got the wrong guy." Knowledge was crushed. The look on her face had morphed from righteousness to doubt to stunned disbelief. "Yo, it's by his foot, under the jeans," somebody shouted, and before Knowledge could investigate, the man hiked up his pants and broke through the crowd, leaving behind one fat wallet, the size of a fist. Knowledge didn't run after him. She simply picked up the wallet and looked at it. I was young then, and hadn't discovered what it felt like to be proud of someone. The city was filled with cops and lawyers and officials who were supposed to help people in need, and there was Knowledge, a wealth of misdemeanors, standing in the middle of the street, a crime fighter. "So," she asked me, "what did we learn today?" "Help people when they're in need." "Wrong! Help only strangers. You can't go around helping all your friends because they start depending on you, and that gets you nowhere, okay?" "Got it. Be good, but only to strangers." Knowledge laughed and shook her head. People think they're being good just because they give money to the church when they got money in the bank. That's got nothing to do with good. Let's see how generous they are when their pockets are empty. You know what I'm saying? I nodded. That's when you see character. Don't be fooled by personality. Anyone can have a good personality, but God doesn't give a damn about that. He judges character. A cab pulled out at the corner, and out came the woman from Union Square. She waddled up to us. Oh, thank goodness! I've been driving up and down and... Knowledge, with genuine pride, handed the wallet over. Here! The woman opened her wallet. Let's give you something, a little reward. Knowledge held up her hand. We are good. Thanks is thanks enough. But you have to take something. I insist. I see nothing wrong with giving people money, especially when they deserve it. Listen, lady. Knowledge braced the woman's arms. I said your thanks is enough. So the next two words out of your mouth need to be thank you. Who do you think you? Right away, Knowledge snatched the wallet from the woman's hands. I warned ya, she said. She's got my wallet, the woman screamed, but nobody stopped Knowledge. That was amazing, I said, catching up to her. I know. I don't want to turn around, but is the crowd still there? I looked back. They're still there, watching you walk away. As they should be, she said, picking up her stride. Sometimes you've got to do the wrong thing to do right. You know what I'm saying? Now I do. That's my girl. Thank you.
In 1975, the Vietnamese Civil War came to an end when the North Vietnamese forces invaded Saigon. Au Bad with Burning City by Ocean Vuong provides a view out of the window of a hotel room overlooking a Saigon square as people flee the city. And Au Bad is a love song to the dawn, in this case, the dawn of a newly reunited Vietnam, but also the dawn of chaos and violence. Inside the hotel room where the speaker stands, a North Vietnamese soldier and his sweetheart take refuge from the bombings.
South Vietnam, April 29th, 1975. Armed Forces Radio played Irving Berlin's White Christmas as a code to begin Operation Frequent Wind, the ultimate evacuation of American civilians and Vietnamese refugees by helicopter during the fall of Saigon.
Milk flower petals on the street, like pieces of a girl's dress. May your days be merry and bright. He fills a teacup with champagne, brings it to her lips. Open, he says. She opens. Outside, a soldier spits out his cigarette as footsteps fill the square like stones fallen from the sky. May all your Christmases be white. As a traffic guard unstraps his holster, his hand running the hem of her white dress. His black eyes, her black hair, a single candle. Their shadows, 2 wicks. A military truck speeds through the intersection, the sound of children shrieking inside. A bicycle hurled through a store window. When the dust rises, a black dog lies in the road, panting. Its hind legs crushed into the shine of a white Christmas. On the nightstand, a sprig of magnolia expands, like a secret heard for the first time. The treetops glisten and children listen. The chief of police face down in a pool of Coca-Cola. A palm-sized photo of his father soaking beside his left ear. The song moving through the city like a widow. A white, I'm dreaming of a curtain of snow falling from her shoulders. Snow crackling against the window, snow shredded with gunfire, red sky. Snow on the tanks rolling over the city walls, a helicopter lifting the living just out of reach. The city is so white. It is ready for ink. The radio saying, "Run, run, run." Milk flower petals on a black dog like pieces of a girl's dress. May your days be merry and bright. She's saying something neither of them can hear. The hotel rocks beneath them, the bed a field of ice cracking. "Don't worry," he says as the first bomb brightens their faces. "My brothers have won the war, and tomorrow." The lights go out. I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming to hear sleigh bells in the snow. In the square below, a nun on fire runs silently towards her God. Open, he says. She opens.
If you could give the judges just a couple more minutes to finish up, thank you.